Good evening and welcome to the Long Meadow Select Board meeting for July 2nd, 2018. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome this evening. We've got a somewhat of a full agenda, although not too bad. I just want to, just a forward look a little bit. We do have a hearing with Eversource for a petition for movement of or position of a transformer on town property. We're going to do some review of the town manager's assessment that was done by each individual member of the select board, talk a little bit about goal setting. But first I wanted to find out if there were any announcements from anybody else. I do have a few if nobody else does. No? Okay, two announcements. The first one is because of the heat, this town has opened a couple of cooling centers. One's at the adult center, the other's at the library, and if you need a ride to either one of them, please call the adult center, 565-4150. It's 565-4150. Please, if you have neighbors who you're not sure of, please, we're not sure if they're okay, please check in on your neighbors as well. It is quite warm. Also wanted to announce that there's a vacancy, formally is a vacancy in the school committee. I'm going to read this announcement. Town of Long Meadow is seeking a resident to fill the vacancy in the school committee. Any Long Meadow resident interested in being considered for appointment to fill this vacancy is required to submit an application to the Select Board's office, 20 William Street, Long Meadow, Mass. by noon Friday, August 17th. Again, by noon Friday, August 17th. That's about approximately 6 weeks from now. Applications are available at the Select Board's office at 20 William Street or online at longmeadow.org. On the Select Board's page under Application for Appointment to Board, Committee, Commissions. Please submit a cover letter and current resume along with your application. The appointment will be effective until the next annual town election in June 2019. Subsequent elections for this position will be for 3 years, for the 3-year term. The school committee has the dual responsibility for implementing statutory requirements pertaining to public education and meeting local citizens' expectations for the education of the community's youth. So applications are going to be required to attend an interview that will be conducted jointly by the Select Board and the school committee on Monday, August 27th at 7 p.m. here in Long Meadow High School, meeting room A15. We anticipate that we would make the appointment the following week, Tuesday, September 4th, at that's the date of the regular Long Meadow Select Board meeting. The school committee will be joining us for the first part of that to make the appointment. Again, this is a result of the resignation of Jessica Hutchins and this posting of the position and the dates of August 27th for interviews and September 4th for confirmation or appointment have been shared and agreed to by the school committee as well as the Select Board. So hopefully the Select Board's all set with that. I think finally I just want to wish everybody on the Select Board here a Happy New Year. That's today's our first working day of our fiscal year 2019, and so I just wanted to get started with that. That's it for announcements. Are there any comments? Anybody? There are no residents for residents comments. Any Select Board comments at all? No. I actually just wanted to go through, because we have a couple of minutes before our Eversource hearing has to start. I just want to give everybody a preview, trying to lay out the agendas for the next 4 or 5 or 6 meetings. Today we're going to be doing look at the town manager's evaluation, Eversource petition. Next meeting in July, there'll be appointment of election workers and some finalization of the town manager's evaluation. We're also going to have a review by our financial advisor, Clark Rowell, about the funding for the DPW and Adult Center buildings. A little bit talk about the stormwater abatement policy. Our first meeting in August, a discussion on bylaws and quarterly investment reports and board appointments. August 20th, that's our last meeting, second and last meeting in August. Some discussions on a review of streetlight economics that Mr. Pasterzik will lead us in, and we'll also take the earlier discussion we had with Clark Rowell and have to approve the bonds purchase for the DPW on August 20th. August 27th is that special joint meeting I just spoke about to interview for the school committee vacancy. And then September 4th, which our meeting then is a Tuesday, not Monday. Monday's the Labor Day holiday. We're going to do a review of Storrs Library status with respect to the town, have our joint meeting with the school committee, appoint somebody to the school committee vacancy, and we'll start working on, I believe, closing the special town meeting warrant. Believe it or not, that's September 4th, that meeting. Our special town meeting comes up pretty quickly in October 16th. So, you know, what I wanted to go through that with you is, if you have any items that you'd like to see placed on the agenda, please send them to me. I will start putting them on the agenda. We do go out a little bit beyond that, but I think just looking through July, August, the first meeting in September, you can see that we've got a good list of things that we're going to be try to work through.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions or comments? Fine. Well, it's close enough that I don't see anybody else coming in. I assume that you folks are here from Eversource. If you'd like to come forward, you can. I'll accept the motion to open hearing on petition 4884.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Yep.
Any comments? All in favor? Unanimous. The motion, the hearing is open. If you could please just identify yourselves and.
Yeah. Paul Lebowski, Eversource.
Excuse me, your name again?
Paul Lebowski.
Okay. And
My name is Guy Heska. I'm a professional engineer, and I'm working for Big Y.
Paul, the floor is yours.
Eversource is seeking permission to relocate the existing transformer that feeds Big Y grocery store, approximately 32 feet north and 11 feet westerly of the present location, and it actually would be on town property.
Okay. Guy, did you have anything to go with your
Yeah, just
with your
real quick.
chart?
I think you've seen this kind of in a smaller scale,
Yep.
slightly bigger.
We all got it.
Yeah, basically we're looking at two things. One of them is the transformer relocation, which we show in the blue here.
Mm-hmm.
The existing yellow that you see here is the existing transformer location. And in addition to that, there's what they call a power secure cabinet. It's a piece of electrical equipment that provides a transition between a portable generator and the transformer. If there's a power outage, what Big Y does, in many of their locations, if they have the room, they have a generator that they have on site that powers the store. In this case, there's no room for that, so they have a trailer that they bring in with the generator on it, and they plug it into this power secure equipment, and it's a switch gear between the transformer and the power system in the store itself. And the reason we're looking for relocation of this transformer, you can see on the property line, the transformer that's there now is hugging really tight against the building. It doesn't meet the current electric code requirements, which require a minimum 5-foot clearance from a building. Also requires there to be a 3-foot clear zone on the side, 5 foot behind it, and 10 feet in front of it. In looking at placement of this, we were very careful to maintain the existing locust trees that are out there. We did find one spot where we're comfortable we can install this transformer, have no impact to the trees that are out there, and still meet the minimum setback requirements to meet the electrical code. The existing transformer will be removed after the new transformer is put in, but it'll be replaced by an electric cabinet in that same location. The cabinet itself, if you notice on the plan, in the detail it shows, there's an encroachment of about 1 foot 4 inches into the right-of-way. So the cabinet itself is a structure which is installed on its own concrete pad. That'll be installed in the same location as the other transformer. It's a little bit longer. It's about a 5.5 foot high, I believe, is the total height of the cabinet itself. But it will extend out. So for your consideration, we would like you to take action on both those items: the encroachment of the power secure equipment in the right-of-way, and then also location of the transformer. Any other questions you have, I'd certainly be glad to answer.
Great, thank you.
If I can.
No, great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's start with
Just-
questions.
Yeah, so the existing one is actually on the property?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And so and why can't you just expand that existing one?
Well, and I don't want to speak for you, but my understanding is that because the transformer is going to be replaced with a more modern transformer to bring it, to fulfill the power requirements of the facility, once we touch that transformer, we have to now meet the current electric code, which requires a minimum of 5-foot separation from the building. Right now, it was installed back in probably the 70s or so. Back then, they used to allow you to put the transformers right against the building. They don't allow that anymore for fire code and for safety provision. So once we touch that transformer, which we need to bring the store up to new power requirements, we have to move it outside of that 5-foot window, so.
And what's the difference in amperage? Is it?
The service is going to stay the same. The transformers is going to be the same size. We are going to be installing a new style transformer, which is a little taller than what exists right now. It's not going to be a big impact site-wise on it, but as Guy was mentioning, we do need the clearances around the transformer.
Okay. Any other questions? Richard, questions?
No.
Marie? I have a couple of questions. I guess my first question is, what happens if we don't approve this?
Big Y's going to have to come up with real estate on their property, and unfortunately, given the layout, there really isn't much location to put the new transformer.
So there's no Plan B?
Right now, what we're evaluating is the current proposal here. If we had to come up with something different, we'd have to look at a completely different portion of the site, and likely would result in loss of parking and/or conflicts with loading spaces. We'd have to certainly look at that.
Okay, surprising that there's no Plan B, but I guess I guess my question is, the other thing I'm concerned about is that the traffic pattern in that area has changed several times in my lifetime. I'm not that old. And in fact, we're in discussions to potentially change that again. You know, by putting this on what's town land, that either restricts what we can future do with the traffic or potentially puts somebody, I don't know if it's Big Y or Eversource, at risk should that property now need to be used as part of a revision to the traffic pattern. And I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts about that. Is this something that Eversource or Big Y are willing to do at their risk for a future modification to that traffic pattern that needs that land?
Yeah, my understanding from conversations with the town engineer is that they're evaluating to maintain the one-way traffic flow on Williams and Bliss, but to reduce it to a single lane as opposed to the 2-lane configuration they have now, make it more pedestrian and bike-friendly. And I've seen a concept plan of that didn't really include any changes to the curb line along Bliss. So whether that's part of the program or not, I'm not sure is what the town has planned, but Big Y would certainly, if there's an issue and conflict with that, Big Y would, my understanding, would be willing to take that risk. And if something needed to be done in the future, they certainly would take action to do that.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
You're saying there's two things we have to decide on, so you're talking about two different votes?
No, I think it would be a single motion, but the motion would include the relocation of the transformer and also that the power secure equipment, both of which would have an encroachment within the right-of-way.
Power secure equipment.
Yeah, that's the switch gear that would be utilized for the portable generator in case of a power outage. It provides a transition between the transformer and the power supply to the building.
And you also mentioned that, or at least DPW in their paperwork, that you'd be cleaning up any spills or something. So that old transformer that's coming up, is that an underground transformer or is it currently above ground?
It's currently above ground.
Above ground and just it's on Big Y property?
Correct. Majority of it's on Big Red
Yeah, I
property.
think there might be, the pad itself might actually have a slight encroachment into the right-of-way. But yeah, it's a pad-mounted surface structure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
But, and so when this, if the generator needs to be brought in to provide electricity for the building, where will that be parking?
They park it here in the loading area. This is the loading area.
And then it has a cable that connects it?
Yeah, and then they basically, for lack of a better term, a big extension cord.
Yeah, okay. And then do they fence that off temporarily? How do they do that? Just for safety purposes so that?
Yeah,
'Cause that's
well,
a-
it's self-contained, the unit itself, so it has all the features, so it wouldn't be fenced off. It would only be there temporarily. Typically, it's until power is restored. Usually, it's no longer than 24 hours. In the October storm we had a few years ago, and some of the sites in Connecticut, they had portable generators that were there for 4 or 5 days until power was restored. But those would be an unusual circumstance when there was, a very rare event, whether it's a hurricane or a snowstorm or something like that, where power in the region was out for an extended period of time. But typically, the mobile generators are there for 24 hours, so until power is restored.
And can the current, system handle that?
No, it's not set up for that right now.
It's not set up for
Yeah.
that. So what do they do now? They have their generators
I
in the
think
building?
I don't know specifically, but typically stores that don't have a full power generator, they have a small generator that runs the emergency lighting and equipment, like the cash registers and stuff, so if they're in the middle of transactions, they don't lose everything. So they can keep the store up until they can basically get everybody out of there.
My recollection, Tom, was when we had that 2011 power outage, Big Y didn't have any power either, so.
Yeah, most of the new stores, they actually incorporate generators into the design, where they actually have an on-site generator, and they're tested once monthly or so to make sure that they're properly working through the switch gear and stuff. On some of the stores, they don't have that ability, especially with older stores that don't have generators. So what they do when they remodel the older stores, they put the equipment in so that I think they have a number of portable generators that they can move around through the different facilities, because the likelihood of all of their stores being without power is pretty rare at any given time. I think the October storm we had a couple years ago was pretty unusual, because there were a number of facilities that were in need of power. But they mobilize those portable generators to the stores that need it if there's a power outage at that specific store.
Mark,
Yeah,
is there a
go
motion
ahead.
to close the hearing?
Sure. Is the motion's made second? Any objections? All in favor? Okay, the motion's closed. Thank you, gentlemen. And just the
Thank you.
internal discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve the relocation of the transformer and a relocation of the power equipment for portable generator on town property.
Second.
Paul?
As you say, there are conditions that were recommended by a town engineer
Oh, that's right, there were.
that I
Yeah, we've got
want to make sure that they go
Yep.
through.
Let's see, let me,
Well, he wants to see that there's a trench permit is required. And then erosion and sediment controls are put in place for the construction activity, well, prior to the construction activity,
Well,
and then
we can just say,
contamination.
per the requirements.
for requirements of DPW.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm also-
Andy Cars has the requirements.
I wonder if we should also ask them to have some sort of a temporary fencing, if they need to use this generator.
I think those are almost like semi-trailers.
Yeah. the
So there's
tractor
no
trailer.
one
So
can
they-
get into it.
The trailer,
It's a tractor trailer that backs up to the place, and it's like, looks like a refrigerated truck for all purposes, except
right,
the inside
but
of
then
it's
he,
a
so they
generator.
use a.
And there's
they
a
use-
big, huge cable that comes out of it
Yeah,
and plugs
big,
in.
huge cable, the kind of cable that I would like some, have a fence, just a temporary, I don't care if it's a rabbit fence, but just enough so people can't walk to where that cable is.
It's in the loading zone. Is the loading zone walled
It's in the
off?
back of the building.
No.
It's by the trees.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
in the loading zone.
Okay.
No, it's in the trees.
No,
The
the
new one.
generator, when
No,
they bring in
no,
their
the
portable.
plug from here would be pulled over into the back of the loading dock, so the truck would actually bolt back in.
Not in this spot? I thought it would go into the transformer. I thought that's what you were saying.
No, the truck would pull in
truck would pull in here, and I
Into this
assume there'd be a
area.
plug somewhere
Yeah.
here that the plug.
Yeah, right in here. There's two ways they can do it. They can either pull the cord over to here, or they can put like a little stanchion that plugs in right there.
So the plug would pull over to the red dot, the new,
The blue one.
but the blue one is, so that you're
That's the
gonna,
old transformer.
you take the old transfer out and put a new one,
A new cabinet.
a new cabinet
And
that
the
would take
transformer
that.
gets moved over to the other
And,
spot where the red there is.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
truck
not
backs
a,
in.
so that plug isn't on town property?
No.
And is there a retaining wall or anything by that?
It's just a very small grade separation.
Just a grade
Yeah.
separation?
If you go by there now, you can see it's about 2 foot lower where the truck dock is.
Does the fire chief supervise, I know he become incident operational leader during a blackouts.
But this could just be a
And when he-
power outage that affects Big Y for 20, it doesn't have to be the size of the
Yeah,
October.
I mean, typically, if the power goes out for 20 minutes or an hour, they don't do anything. It's just, if there's a big storm and they have an extended forecast of the power being out, they don't want to lose product in the store because the refrigeration, the freezers go down after a certain time.
So do you want to add a fifth condition that use of generator, the area must be secured?
Yeah, safety precautions in place for use of generator, sure.
All right. So
Is that,
okay.
you go-
I withdraw my old motion, and I move to allow the relocation of the transformer and a
Marie, can I just suggest, before you do that, maybe
Yeah.
we should just have a little bit discussion, because we might change it yet again. I mean,
Oh, okay, so there's more discussion.
Well, yeah, I don't, Tom, do you have anything else?
No, no, that's-
Rit? I mean, my concern is that we may need this on town property. I think this needs to be at the risk of Big Y, because we're not giving them an easement, we're not giving them a temporary right-of-way. What we're giving them
Right.
is a variance to put it on town property.
We take no issue with that.
And this is this may be a long-term thing, and I understand that, we may change the roads next month or next year, that's one way, but 15 years from now, they may change it another way, and I think it needs to be noted that this is being put on town property at Big Y's risk.
So you want to call it a variance or a temporary variance? What have you feel comfortable?
It is a variance.
It'd
It's
be a
not
variance with conditions, I
Yeah, it's
suppose.
not a temporary variance, I mean,
All
it's a
right,
variance.
so you're happy with the term variance with the
At-
DPW
at-
conditions?
Plus, at Big Y's risk, should the town require that it be moved at a future date because of the right-of-way. I mean, that's kind of my take on this thing.
Okay, so I think we need to write this out. Okay, let me try it, and then you can
Right.
correct it, okay? I move to approve, though, a variance for the relocation of the transformer on town property, and a variance for relocation of the power equipment for portable generator
I'd say-
on town
No,
property.
it's power switch
Can I say
gear.
placement?
Power switch gear
Yeah, placement of a portion of the power switch gear.
portion of the power switch gear
Yep.
for portable generator on town property at big rise risk if the town requires,
No, just
Big-
at.
Just big- at Big
to be
Y's risk?
At Big Y's risk.
okay, with conditions of, listed by DPW of the road opening and trench permit requirement. Lawn restoration must be in conformance with town standards.
You guys have those?
Yeah. Erosion and sedimentation controls shall be installed prior to construction activity and maintained as deemed appropriate by the engineering department. Town trees shall be preserved, protected, and establishment of vegetation shall be warranted for 1 year. Contractors shall contact the town tree warrant prior to commencing work. Contaminated soils, if encountered, shall be removed at the expense of the applicant. And if the power generator is used, the area is, safety measures are put in place to secure the area.
Right, yeah, placement of safety barriers, maybe.
Debbie, most of what Marie read is Andy Crar's memo, and so I think, I don't know that it needs to be a part of the motion, Marie. It can just be that meeting the requirements set forth in the...
I just read it all in, so why don't we
Right.
just,
You want to just leave it as part of the
Leave it,
motion?
yeah.
Okay.
is there a
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns? No? Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? The vote passes 3-1. I'd just like to comment, the reason I voted against it, I think we've opened up a can of worms. When a couple of months ago, we let Eversource put something on town property on Route 5. I think this is the second version of it, and it's just going to keep coming. And I think we got to tell people, town property is town property, private property is private property. Put all the electrical systems you want to on private property, but not on town property. But the motion passes. And
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you. Mark, before we move on from this topic, I think
sure.
they brought up some plans and everything that they'd seen about maintaining the right-of-way, and I know you have been working on design of that area, including working with the various stores on pedestrian and bike. If we could see any updated materials for the next meeting.
They obviously knew more than we did.
Yes.
And I would have to assume also that Andy Carr took that into consideration when he signed off on
Yeah.
those conditions.
You're absolutely right, Paul. My only issue is that Andy Carr's looking forward this year, next year,
2 or 3
but
years.
not 15 years or however long
Right.
these things can stay there. And so, we've seen it change once or twice, and it may change again. All right, so any other select board comments?
No.
No, there are no more. You'll note that on all the agendas, we're going to start including board committee minutes to try to keep up with, those are going to be appointed boards, so any boards that we appoint, their minutes will be distributed to us along with our packet of items so that we better know what's going on the boards. Okay? Paul, do you have a town manager's report?
The only thing that I have, we didn't have a department head meeting today, so I was not updated on the other happenings, but we did get our FY 2019 Maya Rewards. You may recall it's a program where the town does certain actions preventing liability insurance claims that they will give us certain credits. We got an amount of $37,283 worth of rewards, and then those are direct credits. It's a small amount greater than last year, but it's basically just about 100% of all the rewards that we could have gotten. So a lot of good work by all the department heads have contributed to all that.
Paul, does that go into the general fund?
It's actually a credit against our expense.
Oh, okay.
So, indirectly, it does because we take it right off the bill,
Okay,
pay them less.
thank you.
It actually shows up as free cash from that line item. in
If there's
theory.
any money left in that line item, yes.
Unlikely, right?
Yeah, it's one that we're very tight.
Okay, thanks. Next topic we were going to cover is old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 18th regular meeting.
So we'll
Second.
Seconded.
Motion's made and seconded. Any corrections, comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. And the next item is the town manager's evaluation. So I don't know how we want to go through this. Stephen's not here. He knew this was coming up. We're going to carry this over to our next meeting, just as a reviewed and perhaps maybe formally vote on it or not. But just so for the people at home, so they understand what we did, is we had a evaluation form. There were 10 items, or 10 categories, I guess, upon which the town manager was evaluated by all 5 members of the select board. And each of the members of the select board evaluated each item on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being exceeds performance expectations, and 1 meaning does not meet expectations. And all of those were brought through sent through to our administrative assistant, Debbie House, and Debbie compiled them and what she sent out to us, and it's also been posted on the town website in compliance with the Supreme Judicial Court's ruling that this should become a public notice at the moment it's released to the select board members. And so we now have this compiled document. And what I thought I would do is we go through section by section. I'm just going to read the section very quickly and read the numerical ratings that were received, and let anybody have anything to say that they want to say about that section. I think the decision was we would not be writing a cover letter or a cover summary, but let this document kind of suffice as its own. So if anybody has, unless somebody has an objection.
I was a little confused. I thought you were going to wait until Stephen was here. Isn't that what you said? I thought that's what I heard you say.
Now, no, we're going to, next meeting, he'll be here and we'll
Oh.
finalize this, but we're
Okay.
just going over this in public, Richard.
Okay.
So, okay.
Cool.
So the first section is called Service and Support to the Board of Selectmen, or it should be the Select Board, I guess. And there were 5 responses, and the evaluations were, again, on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 does not meet expectations, 5 exceeds expectations, 3 is kind of the middle. There was a 2, a 5, a 2, a 5, and a 4. So you can see some fairly wide divergence of these. And service and support to the Select Board includes responsiveness and interaction, quality of the agenda, quality of research and analysis work, quality of response to Select Board's needs, regularly keeps Select Board informed of important and upcoming issues, town meeting preparation, and timeliness and accuracy of information. So with that variance of 2 to 5, does anybody have anything that they want to?
No,
Okay.
I guess I would just comment that any comments that I would want to make, I think, I would make them to help Stephen become a better town manager, so I will just hold him until he's here. Thank you.
Richard, Marie?
No.
Okay, I'm just going to put a comment that my comments were based on some weaknesses I thought in providing us information, and I tried to identify those specific instances and what was not provided to us, and which was the purpose for my rating it the way I did. Item number 2 is budget preparation and administration. It includes prepares annual projection of revenues, responsiveness to town needs, creativity in developing budgetary alternatives, monitoring of budget administration, maintaining control, and establishment of effective and productive relationships with the Finance Committee. Finally, striving to continue to identify innovative and creative revenue-generating and budget reduction opportunities. So the ratings on this were, of the 5 people, again, 1 is does not meet expectation, 5 exceeds. The ratings were 5, 5, 2, 5, and 5. So there's one that's an outlier. Any comments that anybody has on that? No? Okay. I guess I was the outlier in that, and I just say that my evaluation is, although I thought his budget preparation was fine, I think my comment was based on the capital planning portion of the budget preparation, which I thought needed some improvement, and some issues having to do with special town meeting with regard to things like the snowplow that I think several people indicated, we were proposed at a much higher expenditure than was actually needed. So that was the reason for my change in that. Third section is managerial skills, maintains effective leadership and confidence from department heads, ability to responsibly address in a timely fashion varied and diverse work assignments, maintains an effective professional organizational climate, ability to perform appropriate research and analysis, ability to develop and present alternative public policy, creativity and innovation, and decisiveness in making decisions and managing organization. And the 5 ratings on this were a 3, a 5, a 3, a 5, and a 3. So again, there's not a lot of unanimity, but there's 3 being meets expectation, 5 being exceeds expectation. I guess the question I have is, does anybody have any comments? Richard?
Yeah, the meets expectations, it's a standard thing that's used, but it means something different to everybody that reads it. My feelings were, and I stated in this evaluation, is that, and I've also spoke to Stephen on camera and off camera, he spends an inordinate amount of time, to me, with this 360 evaluation process, thinking that it means something other than what it is. And I think I brought this out again. I said it's like it's a preoccupation with it, to the fact of sometimes it's almost to a fault of how he defends people, especially when sometimes it's obvious that there was a mistake made and you're still defending. A strength sometimes becomes a weakness, and I think at this point, it does tend to start to be a weakness with him because it's a standard backup. You don't have to question, that's going to be the response that comes every single time. And I just thought that it's, by this time, 5 or 6 years, I guess, 5 years into his appointment now? I would have thought we would see that, I don't want to use the word maturity, but that kind of a more realization taking place as top manager. But that's, again, my personal feelings.
Anybody else have comments? Okay. Look at the next section, which is Human Resources Management. Staff development growth, participates and responsibly advises the board relative to collective bargaining, oversees and acts on behalf of the select board to ensure municipal compliance and negotiated collective bargaining, and monitors municipal personnel. The ratings on this were 4.5, 4.5, 4. So this is the first one that had some good consistency, at least of the numbers. Anybody have any comments or concerns? Again, to people at home, this document is available on the town website as well as online for the documents for this meeting, if you're at all interested. Okay, the next section is Section 5, Relations with the Media and Community. Establishes productive working relationships with media representatives, builds and maintains effective relationships with diverse groups, quality of public presentations at town meetings, displays high level of integrity and credibility when dealing with all other committees and public, well respected in the community, cognizant of, sensitive to the diversity of views among constituent groups. And the ratings on this were 5, 4, 2, 4, 5. So again, one divergent evaluation. Does anybody have any comments? I'll be glad to explain mine. Mine was the divergent one, and I based that on, as you can see in the issue, the group opposing a zone change for the Brewery Young Mansion. There were some issues with that, and I thought that spoke to the issue of credibility when dealing with other communities and the public, and I think those people at least thought there were some issues, whether there were or not. And my other concern was with other citizens' task forces, that often there isn't some as much what I'll call citizen input as I thought there ought to be. In general, I thought that this was to some degree bimodal, but I voted it just below meeting expectations. And I think that it's pretty clear after I've done this that my definition of meeting expectations is different from others, because I think that, meeting expectations is, at some level, what people ought to be doing. But, Marie?
Yeah, and I think this one is where I did give him a 5, because we were dealing with at least 3 very highly charged decisions when it was coming to the DPW, the Adult Center, and as you mentioned, the Young Mansion. And I think those were really hard issues to deal with when it comes to a split community as well as the media. And I actually saw improved relations with some areas and groups that he's had difficulty with in the past, but he spent a lot of time talking to people and trying to work through it and try to solve the problem. So I think he did well with that this year.
Okay. Rich?
And I've come to the conclusion that I put the wrong number on mine.
Oh.
But it's okay, it's in print, but I had, my grade does not reflect my comments totally.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
he got a 1-point gift on that.
No take back.
No, he said, we said he continues to display a high level of performance concerning the requirements of the element. There's no doubt about in this community, this is a very challenging PR community. And Stephen, by all means, is maturing into his role. He has changed a lot in the last 4 to 5 years. He's learning the community, and I think he's also developed further development of the skills required to address such a diverse community. But I still did say there's room for growth, because there's still mistakes being made, and the mistakes sometimes end up with a furor. And I think, as you professionalize your career, you start to learn ways to sidestep those and don't let them blow up. And I still think we've got too many things that blow up that could be put to rest early in the game, or much earlier in the game.
Tom, any comments? Okay. The next section is called goal setting and achievement, and it works with the select board to establish annual goals, facilitates and prepares the development of annual goals, monitors progress toward achievement of goals, and attains goals and objectives within established timeframes. And again, the ratings were 5, 5, 3, 5, 3. So we seem to be getting, again, some divergence there, but anybody have any comments on that? No? Okay, I guess I was the one who rated, one of the people who rated it a 3, and I'll just read the first sentence. My key qualifier here is works with the select board too. My sense is that the town manager still has an incomplete read of both town residents and at least some of the members of the select board as to where priorities and resources should be placed. So we're going to continue to work on that. And again, I think as Marie said, or Tom said earlier, my goal here is to use this as a coaching tool, and we hope to do that. Section 7 was relations with federal, state, and other government units, and includes reviews, analyzes, represents, and presents the position of the select board in town relative to proposed legislation, pursues funding opportunities in support of board priorities, stays abreast of and performs research involving government legislation, and works with state and other agencies in matters relating to implementing policies and policies and programs, and the ratings were 5, 5, 3, 3, 4, so at least that one, the average is the same as kind of works out to a 4, which is a little bit better than meets standards. I was wondering if anybody had any comments or questions about the relations with the federal and state and other governmental units. No?
No, I think it was said a couple of places. I think the select board has to be kept in the loop more with those things. We really can add more value to that than I think they think of that in the past.
Okay.
But I think it was said in a couple of places.
Number 8 is dealing with uncertainty and changing conditions, which is effectively deals with unforeseen issues, confronts changing circumstances with professional and problem-solving attitude, responds well to stressful situations and tolerates conditions of uncertainty, ability to adapt and innovate when confronted with special projects or demands. And the ratings here were 5, 4, 3, 5, 3. Again, a wider range of evaluations. Any comments about that? Okay. All right, there are just a couple more sections. Section on asset management, responsible for the efficient use and maintenance and repair of town facilities, properties, develops and maintains full and complete inventory of town real and personal property, takes action to improve town's insurance ratings and identify areas for potential cost savings. The ratings were 4, 5, 4, 4, 3. Somewhat a little bit more consistent, but any comments on these? And what we're doing for the folks at home is really saving you the time of reading through these, because you can read through them on your own. But I did feel it's important to go through the numbers. Any comments? No? Okay. Finally, the last one is personal and professional growth of the town manager. Demonstrates continued personal growth in the position by recognizing and addressing the deficiencies, continued professional education, continuing professional education and development activities, attendance at professional meetings, seminars, and conferences, active membership in state and national professional organizations. And the ratings are 5, 5, 2, 4, 4. Any comments about any of this? No. Well, I guess I feel an obligation to justify why I rated this 2, which is below meeting expectations, and I'll read what I said. We haven't made enough significant progress on last year's items. There's still a feeling that Steve would rather ask forgiveness than permission for things that are controversial with the select board. I don't have the feeling that he sees the select board as partners, but rather as adversaries. We appear to get the minimal information possible and all too frequently too late. We could do so much more if we were all rowing in the same direction. I see that Stephen often seems to want to go in a direction that no one else does. That was my assessment of the personal, professional, and growth, which is why I rated it where I did. Okay. So those were the 10 items, and I guess if you look at that, you can now see there's 5 people, and we average the 10 sections for each person, and so the averages are Individual number 1, and Marie, I'm going to identify this as you, is 4.3. Individual number 2, which is Bill Lowe, 4.8. Mark Gold is 2.7. Tom Lacusa is 4.5, and Richard Foster a 4.0. So not that those numbers mean anything, but they're starting to zero in a little bit closer to what the average should be. Any other comments, Marie?
Well, I think by reading through things, it's very clear that his job is absolutely impossible because we all have a different view of how he's doing, and we all have different opinions on what needs to be done. If you look at it, it shows that he's doing, he's meeting expectations plus a little bit more. But we're all describing the elephant, and we all have a different part that we're looking at. And I'm hoping that as he reads through these, he'll pick out and understand what you described as a 2, someone else might describe as a 4, but there's a general trend of where we think there needs to be improvement, I think. And by reading through it, he'll see where the positives and the needs improvements are.
Thank you. Any other general comments?
No, just that if you totaled them all up and divided them, I have a 4.06, so that's a decent score. But, yeah, I think hopefully it's a good information for him.
Rich, do you have anything you want to say?
No,
Okay.
not really.
I guess the couple things I want to just say is, one is, again, I intend to use this as a how do we move forward and not how do we look back. And I think that by just saying everything's hunky-dory a 5 and doesn't give Stephen any goals to work at, and I think it's, from my perspective, it was important to indicate that here's the areas that we still need. And I was surprised a couple of people rated him a 5, and still the comments were, but he needs to improve. So I don't understand that how, I guess that's the definition of what exceeds improvement means.
Remember I said I made a mistake.
Okay,
on that.
that's fine, that's fine. But you know, I guess you can exceed improvement, and exceed expectations, and still need to go further.
Look,
I guess
in
that's
high
the theory.
school, the high school now, they're getting more than 4.0s. They're getting.
That's true.
So,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, and also, it's always good, no matter how good you are, there's always room to grow.
Well, and I think that was my intent by saying, you know, meeting expectation for me is doing a good job.
Uh-huh.
You know, meeting expectation for somebody else may not be doing a good job.
Obviously, your standards are
Well,
much higher.
I think meeting an expectation is doing exactly what we hired him to do, and for the most part, that's where it was. And I guess I was interested to see that a lot of people just thought exceeds, but that doesn't necessarily give Stephen
So you're
information. he needs.
critiquing our critiques.
Yeah, I am to some degree
We'll critique
because
your critique
that-
now.
that- that's fine.
Okay, I
And-
want to score him on 10 different items.
And that's fine. It ought to be, Marie, but that's why when I went through it, I tried to put down specifics, in my comments. I think because it doesn't help Stephen to say even a 3, or it doesn't help him to say 5 unless you put down comments. And so for the people who put down comments, I think that's the best part of the performance appraisal and for people at home, this performance appraisal has nothing to do with Stephen's contract. He's got a contract for at least another year, and so, this isn't going to impact the contract one way or the other. I think it's a good way, though, to give him goals to shoot for.
And I think also relationships. I mean, just because someone didn't write a lot of comments doesn't mean that they haven't spent their own time talking about their feelings on how he's performing. So I'm standing up for anyone who left a blank, because it
That's
doesn't
fine.
mean there hasn't been discussion in the background.
Okay, that's fine. Are there any other comments before we leave this? What I was going to do is just take this and just at our next meeting, Stephen will be here, we'll just go over it again, just quickly start at the back and probably focus on the last item and ask people to, go through any of the comments we can specifically in terms of areas we're looking for targeting in the current fiscal year.
Or maybe recommendations on what we're
Okay.
looking for.
That'd be great.
Yeah, instead of, I hate to just go over it like what we did just now again, because I'm sure he's going to listen to the tape.
Okay.
He's likely listening to us now.
I hope not.
I hope not to.
Yes, that's fine. All right. And no other comments? Thank you. We're going to move on. Going to go to new business, and what I wanted to do is, I wanted to start at the bottom. The number 3 item is concrete foundation policy discussion. And this is just a general discussion, get the sense of the select board. As people have heard, there are some houses in town that are suffering from the pyrite, I believe that's how you pronounce it, pyrite.
Yeah, pyrite, they hear it all.
Pyrite issue in their foundations, and, some of them are now beginning to do repairs to their homes, and there was a question about whether or not the town should be waiving the building permit fees for those houses. And it's clearly, it's not something we're necessarily going to vote on tonight because this just came up, but I just wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of weigh in on this and see what they thought. I will also say that at least one, if not more, of these houses have already gotten tax abatements, so they've already gotten a reduction in their real estate taxes. But Rich?
Yeah, and they've also had a significant reduction in the value of their homes, so it...
Right.
Yeah, it's a double-bladed sword. I had this conversation, too, and I support the waiving of the fees for this particular operation because it's not something that the homeowner is doing to basically improve their home. It's something that they're being forced into doing. And the way we're currently set up, there's no compensation from insurance companies or the state or local governments. And in the case here, we have one individual that's going to spend close to $400,000 putting a new foundation under his home. That was no fault of that owner. I know other people say, well, buyer beware. Well, that's a good statement too, but this is nothing they planned. It's not an improvement to the home. It's a necessity. Their home's going to collapse if they don't replace the foundation. I don't have a bit of a problem in the world waiving the fees for the homes that are proven to have this mineral in it and that have to go through this operation.
Okay. Marie, do you have any?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's almost like a natural disaster that's not supported by any large government, like FEMA. So I'd say I would also approve of waiving those building fees. It's the least we can do to try to help out a neighbor.
Yeah, I'd say it's the least we can do. I think we should definitely not charge them a fee for the repairs because it's in the town's best interest to have those homes functional and not have to be torn down and rebuilt, so.
Well, we hadn't put on the agenda a vote on this. I think from a timely point of view, we can wait till the next meeting now.
Well, I think Stephen wanted to get a
We just wanted-
general
right, we
sense,
just wanted to
actually
get it.
develop a policy to bring
Right.
back to you folks, but he
Right.
wanted the general sense first.
Right, that was the sense, so,
Do we need to, we established the fees, so I guess we are the body that has to establish any procedures go along with the fees.
yeah, I don't think the building department, director has the authority to waive fees on.
Right, that's
on
what I'm
its own.
saying. I don't think they do either. It would, I thought about it, I thought, well, anybody could do it, but they can't because we set the fees.
Right.
So consequently, we're the body that would have to waive the fees or set a policy in effect that does waive the fees. Okay.
So Paul,
I'll pass it along, that again, we'll develop a policy to bring forward to you folks, then we'll enact that policy. I know Stephen told the current contractor who is maybe moving forward with the work that, pay it right now. If the policy changes, it'll be retro, and we'll refund the permit cost, should it be, kind of a policy that says there won't be any charge for these affected.
Did you have a draft policy, Paul?
I do not have a draft.
Oh, okay.
We just want, before they spend time doing it.
Yeah, we're ready to vote.
Start.
We could make it a retroactive date.
Right, but I think, yeah, we can, right, but I think we got to see the
Yeah.
policy, because I think my personal opinion is it needs to be somewhat restrictive. I think one of my concerns is that, well, as long as I'm doing this, I might as well do this, that, and the other thing at the same time. And I think because our building permit fees are based on the cost of the program, whatever's being done. And so, it's, and I don't even know what they got to do, but let's say they got to jack up this building and replace the foundation, but while I'm at it, I'm going to add 2 rooms. I don't think we really need to waive the foundation.
The excess.
The excess.
The additional part.
Right, and that's, I think we need a policy order,
Yeah.
you know, what we're trying to do. And I don't know that anybody is adding 2 rooms, I'm just,
I was going to say, I'm spending $400,000 a pound. It's not my home improvement week.
well, but I'm pouring a new foundation, I might as well pour a foundation for 2 more rooms. So. Anyway. All right, well, thank you. We'll again, take that up then, you know, at our next meeting. So, the next item was, just wanted to talk a little bit about review of select board liaisons to committees. And right now, I don't know if everybody's a liaison to some committees, but
Well, I'm just shocked how many liaisons I am to. I didn't know that.
Well,
Like,
let's
oh,
go-
shoot, I haven't attended any of these.
well, let's go.
So
look-
can I be pulled out of some of those?
Well, that's why I wanted to try to pull this up, and my computer's frozen, but we can hopefully take a look at this and see.
And if anyone
see-
wants to take some of those that I'm on,
Well,
it's fine.
so Debbie, if you don't, can you just go through the list, Debbie, and, because I can't pull this up right now, and,
Did you want to use my print?
Yeah,
oh, okay, great. I don't
This
know
is scary.
I know.
Well, this is everybody.
Have you been enjoying your?
So the Board of Assessors liaison is Rich Foster.
Phew.
We're going to leave you there?
Yeah, it's been pretty time-consuming so far. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants it.
No.
Let's just take a look at them. The audit committee was Marie.
No, thank you. It's a great committee, but I'm really busy with the ones I've got, and I don't want to be ignoring them.
Okay.
Because we should be attending their meetings, right? As liaison.
I don't know that you have to attend all of them, but we should be attending some, clearly. You know, then there's the Board of Health that has no liaison. And I'm not sure we need one to the Board of Health because Building Committee, we don't need one. Capital Planning Committee, that was also Marie.
No, I mean, you and Richard know more about capital planning than I ever could imagine.
Well, yeah, we have to provide an educational opportunity for other board members.
I'm educated out.
Yeah, you can't just get your little private things.
And we don't, no, please remove me.
Okay, so we need somebody new there.
Bill Lowe's not here, why don't we put him in?
We're going to get to that. I'm just making a list right now, Paul. Okay. We also have the Charter Review Committee. There is no liaison to that.
You don't want me on that one.
No. But I don't know that we need somebody, but because their time is short.
Mhm.
That's what we think.
Community Preservation,
No, we don't have anyone.
there's nobody there. Conservation Commission,
Is there anybody on that, Mark?
No?
no.
You want it?
Well, they don't meet that often either.
Oh, they do.
Conservation Commission?
Yeah, especially now with all that big development that's going on down at, I keep calling it Fanny Stebbins.
Yeah. That sounds like something you'd really get into.
I
don't-
would, but I just
You know,
don't have
the
time.
Conservation Commission does a good job of sending us their minutes. and
They do.
That's true.
Keeping us up to date on that. I'm not sure that we need that. I did skip the Cable Advisory Committee, and I'm not, think that we need to sit on, I don't.
Wouldn't that be good? Because that gets into your Wi-Fi stuff. I think, he really wants to get moving on that.
Who does?
What's the chair? The chair.
Norm Michaels? Is it
No,
Norm? No, the chair is Don,
I'm thinking of Steve Wallman. He's
Oh,
been
right.
talking about, because, cable, we're going to be heading towards the 10-year contract on that. And we're on the cable,
we
and
got
he's talking
4 more
about.
years or 5 more years to go.
No, it came in at 2010.
There was a board member that used to talk a lot about Wi-Fi in our community. Who was that?
I have no idea.
That would be a good liaison member.
That's it.
Okay, we'll see.
No takers.
No, well, Council on Aging.
I still enjoy doing that
Okay,
one,
so Marie will keep you.
unless someone else
No,
wants
that's
it.
fine. No,
Okay.
COA.
Vote grabber.
I don't know that we need somebody on the cultural council.
Come on, have fun down there.
The energy and sustainability,
Actually,
Marie.
he might, Tom, maybe you'd enjoy cultural council, because there's not, they do the music, and they're bringing in new programs, and they have parties. and-
But do we need a liaison there?
Well, it's,
Need something for Tom
I've
to do.
attended a few of their meetings. I thought they were
Yeah.
interesting, fun.
I thought I was on one of these committees, the culture, I know I'm on the, I thought.
You're on-
I wasn't sure it was I know I'm on one later,
Mass Select Board.
the health, or the house, but the cultural council, yeah, I could go to their meeting.
Yeah, because you might even bring up,
See if things
you
are
know,
going on.
programs that they haven't thought to bring into town.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get money off the select board in the budget, so having you on would help them
Yeah.
get to
Well, I
that.
think culture is really important, so I would enjoy it, so,
Okay,
all right.
great. The Finance Committee.
Well,
was-
actually, go back, because this is driving me crazy, it's driven me crazy for years. Employee Insurance Advisory Commission, they don't meet, I don't think it exists.
We meet as needed.
But when's the last time you met? Because I asked about this, and we should even
The
have it.
last time we met might have been when we implemented all the,
Egg whip?
no. We implemented the deductibles for the health insurance.
Right. Comes to
We had to
the
go
law.
through a special
Oh,
process
when
to
we,
meet with them.
32B, is that it?
Right, through the 32B process. That was
Uh-huh.
probably the last time we had any really project work to get done. Other than that, we may have met to choose a new flexible spending advisor.
Yeah, But that's not a board of the, that's not a committee of the select board.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really a committee we appoint. Doesn't make, I mean, we can have a liaison to it, but it's not somebody we appoint, so
Okay.
I was kind of focusing on those. You know, it's like the, you know, the Finance Committee, I think there ought to be somebody sitting in the Finance
And
Committee.
I'm going to stay on energy and sustainability.
That's fine, okay. So
Finance.
we've got a vacancy on the Finance Committee for liaison. Hampton County Retirement Board, I'd like to continue doing that only because it's convenient and it's,
Yeah, so you're
Never mind.
removing my name from finance, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Do we need a liaison to the Historic Commission or the Historic District Commission? Don't all speak up at once?
I wouldn't think so, would you, Mark?
Probably not, no. The Housing Authority is an elected body, so they're not an appointed
Mhm.
group. There's Mass Selectmen Association. Tom, you were on that. Do you want to continue?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
Mhm.
great. Parks and Recreation, we had none. I don't know that we need somebody there, but,
Hmm.
no. Planning Board, Richard, you're the Planning Board?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can keep that.
Okay, great. And the PVTA, I'd like to keep that. That's pretty straightforward, especially now that they've raised their rates. There's not a lot going on there. Recycling Commission, do we need a liaison there?
I'll do that because I get a lot of the information from Arlene and Liz through the Energy and Sustainability Committee.
Okay. And the others are, you know, Registrar of Voters, that's not appointed, and the Rules Committee's not appointed by us. School Committee,
School committees really, you have me down, but it's usually the chair. Aren't you usually?
yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
should do the School Committee. And I've already started creating some interactions with Beth Barron, so
Mhm.
we'll do that. Then we got the Technology Advisory Board, Traffic Safety Committee.
Well, you just skipped Scantic Valley.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not changing that one, Scandic Valley Health Care
Okay.
Trust.
Well, if
Marie?
anyone else wants to do it, fine, I'll stay on it, but I always think it's good for people to learn about it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Tom, we need to get you to a couple of these. We need to put Bill on a couple of these things. I don't want to necessarily point Bill when he's not around, but,
Oh, I think we can.
you know.
Motion.
Well, we're going to go through this in a second. So then we've got the tree committee, not worried about ZBA. That was Rich, that was you.
Well, let's go back. What about Tech Advisory Board? What are you going to do about that this year?
So I was going to make sure that we got somebody here to talk to us about what the Tech Advisory Board is and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be.
Yeah, 2 years ago,
Reinstitute.
when was I chair last? They said they had to write a whole new MOU, which would do the tech, because right now it doesn't exist.
Right, and we need to. I mean, this whole idea of the technology department and its interdepartmental actions, I think, needs to be acted on. So I was going to talk about that in a little bit, Marie, that both the technology part and also the libraries, I think, are two issues that,
And what about Traffic Safety Committee?
that's not a committee of the board.
So it should it even be called a committee?
Well, it's a committee, but it's not a committee of the board. The board doesn't appoint people to that.
Okay.
I mean, it's their police chief, DPW chief, and town manager, so, okay. The only other one I can see is the zoning board of appeals.
That's
And
you,
that was Richard, that was you. I'd like to leave you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we really need are somebody for audit, CPC, both community preservation and capital planning, CPA, the finance committee, and potentially Scantic Valley Trust. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way I see it, Debbie, were you tracking these with us? So I'm just going to go down. The audit committee, we need somebody. Board of Health, we're going to pass on that, right? Because I think Beverly does a good job reporting to us. The community preservation, we want somebody new. Capital planning, we want somebody new. We're not going to worry about the charter review committee because they're going to be moving along. Cable advisory, I think I will do that. The cultural council, Tom,
Yeah.
I'm gonna add you to that.
Okay.
The finance committee, we need somebody new. The energy committee, Marie, you're going to energy and sustainability, recycling, Marie, you're going to have those. I'm going to be with the school committee. So we do need Scantic Valley. Richard, you're going to keep with the ZBA zoning, and the Tech Advisory Board, it's to be determined, right? But,
And I'll stay on Scantic
well,
unless someone else wants to step in and start learning about it.
still need to get a liaison for audit, CPC, CPA, Finance Committee, and ideally somebody new for Scantic Valley. And Tom, you and Bill are prime for several of those, so
Yeah.
if you want to pick yours first, go ahead, then we'll,
Well,
but at our next meeting, we're going to finalize these, okay? So, I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to call people or check them out, or,
now this Tech Advisory Board, you're just saying we're not sure if we're going to have someone.
no, we're
We
going to
will.
need somebody on that,
All
yeah,
right, I guess I would be interested in that.
okay,
Yeah.
that's
'Cause
fine.
that would be much
How
more
about
enjoyable.
community preservation?
Yeah, I wasn't sure, because I was thinking about Bill, because he's grew up in the town. I didn't know if he'd be a better candidate for that. So maybe we could
Okay,
see if he's interested in that. If not, then I would be open to that.
okay, we need finance committee, I mean, I'm willing to do that, but I don't know if that's, what we want to do is have the chair do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather not be on the finance.
I understand that, nobody wants to be on
Bill
finance.
might be good. Let Mikey try. You might enjoy finance.
A lot of times it was good to have the chair, because then the chair of that committee spoke to the chair of this committee, who spoke to the chair of the school committee.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
kind of had a three-person little communication ring going.
I'll put myself for Finance Committee, but we still need audit, CPA, CPC, and Scandic Valley Trust. Marie, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of breather from Scandic Valley.
Well, it's not just a breather. I enjoy it a lot. Someone else other than me, since my last term, has to start understanding the insurance concept, what we're doing there. And, but it is a commitment during the day.
Right. All right, well, maybe we just start bringing, is Arlene Miller still the?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Paul, you're the secretary, or the treasurer, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can still get people in here, but are there minutes from Scandic Valley meeting that?
They have their own website if you ever wanted to read them.
Is there any chance we can include those in our packets too, so that we at least know what's
Sure.
going on? So if we can do that, I don't know. Marie, I know it's just asking a lot, Marie, to put you into that one too. It's a lot of time commitment, that
Uh-huh.
Scandic Valley one, but it's paid off, so. All right, but I'm not gonna beat this horse here, but I think we need to find these, we're now down to 4, Scandic Valley, CPA, CPC, and audit, and I've got Bill for a couple of them, and Tom, maybe you for one of those, okay?
Right.
Capital planning, community preservation, the audit committee.
Well, the same person should have capital and community preservation,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
an
you're right.
important
because they're melting
communication.
together
Yeah.
closer
Yeah.
and closer and closer.
I agree with you. Well, why don't we temporarily say it's Bill?
And they're only active for a very limited period
Right.
of time in the year.
Right, right, so, okay. So we're going to temporarily assign Bill until he screams on that one. So, Tom, that leaves you with the audit committee. Isn't that your most favorite thing to do?
I guess I'd rather take Scandic Valley.
There you go. You might enjoy Scandic Valley. There's a lot of
Yeah.
wellness
Okay.
issues.
Well,
And
we'll figure out somebody else for the audit.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, if he's taking Scantic,
Yeah,
and I'll help you with, you could sit and talk to me about understanding, because at first it's going to be a whole new language. I'll do audit if he's taking Scantic.
great.
I just can't
Okay.
handle
So-
that many committees.
So Debbie, the way I've got this is audit is Marie, Board of Health is Pass, community preservation and capital planning are Bill Lowe. The Cable Advisory Committee was me. Cultural Council, Tom. Finance Committee is me. Energy and Sustainability, Marie. Recycling, Marie. School Committee is me. Scandic Valley is Tom. Zoning Board of Appeals is Richard Foster. The Tech Advisory Board is Tom Lacusa. How come I only mentioned Richard Foster's name once?
No, I've got,
Yeah,
I've
you've got others,
Board
right.
of Assessors.
Yeah, he's got others that haven't
Planning
changed.
Board,
Yeah,
Zoning
he
Board.
held
You're right.
on to the ones he
You're
had.
right.
How about conservation? Are we putting anybody on?
I thought we didn't need to necessarily, because we get their minutes and,
Okay,
okay, I thought they do a good job of communicating
Okay.
this. All right?
I was going to say I'd take that if we needed it.
No, any other comments about,
You'll update this and send it to us so I can remember what I agreed to.
if you give this back to Debbie, yeah, she'll update it. Thank you.
Actually, I wonder if Deb could put give us an idea of the meetings, when and where.
Well, Scandic Valley, you go to Wilbraham Town Hall, and it's once a month.
Yeah, I
Right.
can get your name on the email list. So
Oh, okay.
instead of sending it, you normally get a notice,
Invitation.
don't you, for the
Yes,
meetings?
uh-huh.
I'll just have them change it.
Okay.
Okay,
Capital needs every day.
okay. All right.
All right, thank you. The other thing I wanted to have a brief discussion about a little bit is some goal setting. And I'm just trying to get a sense of if anybody beside me has thought about goals for the coming year and what it is we want to achieve.
Well, I had something that I wanted to, but it hasn't even gotten on the list yet.
And that is?
And that is we've been talking for years around the idea of doing the triangles and having sponsors for the triangles and have a plan for, multi-year plan for landscaping around town buildings and maintaining our town landscaping better.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any topics? Well, while others are thinking, I've got 3 on my list. One is the streetlights. I'd like to do something about streetlights, and take some action on streetlights. The second one I'm looking to do is the library. I think we need to somehow straighten out what's going on with the library. For those of you, I think we haven't commented about this, but 10 years ago, when we got a new charter, there was a contract written between the Stores Library Board of Directors and the town. Prior to that, there was actually a contract written. It was at the time that the building was transferred to town ownership, just before an addition was put on. That had been 15 or 20 years ago, I guess. And that contract somewhat delineated whose responsibility different things were in the library in terms of the budget, the people, the capital expenditures, et cetera. When the charter was updated and the library no longer became kind of a separate department, but in fact became a department of the general town, that contract has not been updated, so it's kind of sitting out there 10 years old, and it's not at all valid given the things it says. And so I'd actually scheduled September 4th to have a review with that. We've actually turned it over to, we've got our town attorney, Rose Crowley, who's with Pillsbury, Wallace, Doherty, and whatever their name is, that's putting together some information for us, and I thought she'd come in and we'd listen to what the town attorney has to say about that. But it really is out of compliance, if you will, with our charter, and so we've got to get that back in compliance. So that was one of my issues, but the other was as I said, the purchase of streetlights, and trying to think of what the third one was. I think that's it for now. But those are all things that I'd like to take care of.
All right, still processing.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if something comes up, though, let me know. What I'd like to do is in our, early September, kind of delineate these goals to make sure that we and the town manager are all working on in the same area of this, whether it's, I know what my third one was, but it had to do with budgeting and contracting for town employees. We've got several town contracts, union contracts coming up late this year, and just getting a path forward for the town is something that I thought we wanted to do. That's probably through executive session discussions. Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to go on conservation, because I think that would help with what I was thinking of doing with all that. So put me a liaison for conservation.
Absolutely. We can do that.
So I'll take my name off there.
Oh, I didn't know you were doing it. I thought no one had said, you
No,
want to
it's
do
okay.
it?
No.
Yeah, because I can talk to you about it if you want to get on.
No,
Because I'm
I just said
interested in the farm
I just said if
leases
we
down
needed to,
there.
I would go ahead and take over the conservation.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah,
And then,
because I deal with Al at the gardens
Okay.
and stuff like that.
yeah, so put Richard on, and then
Okay.
I'll force
Then
my
you'll bug
agenda
me.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, but again, we need to start putting together some formal documents of goals for the select board and for the town manager and for the everything else we want to do. We've got a lot really going on this year with probably finalizing the construction of the details of the DPW, and not the DPW, of the adult center.
And adult center.
And going through the DPW startup, so, okay. Are there any other issues or goal settings? Tom, you don't have to come up with them now, but.
Okay, yeah,
So-
no,
but
I'm
please
still
send them along.
working on this tax abatement for home improvements. I've met with Paul a couple times, talked to Stephen about it a few times, and I still haven't been able to get the best grip on this. So I continue to work on it, but I will,
Okay.
if I can come up with a reasonable goal for that. So far, the only goal is that people who are doing home improvements would be willing to report it to the town if there would be some sort of tax abatement, because a lot of people do home improvements that they don't report, so we don't get any increase in tax, it doesn't increase our tax base if it's never reported. So I'm still working on that, but I'll keep you posted.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there are some committee reports, so.
Oh, yes, there are. I didn't even think about.
Maria, I'll let you.
Want me to start? Okay.
Sure.
There was so much that we're doing. The energy, we're still Energy Committee until everyone gets on and is able to be interviewed, and their positions opened. I think we figured there were 2 other positions. Well, all the positions are open, but there are 2 empty slots right now. And the plastic bag bylaw is ready to be sent to the bylaw task force and to the Board of Health. And I've got to get that together. And Tommy Townshend has been an intern and helped us put that together. So that can get to town meeting, which I guess you're closing the warrant as early as September 4th?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I got to find out when the Board of Health is meeting. And then we had someone come and speak to us about streetlights and the program that this gentleman has is where you don't really buy the streetlights, you pay a contract with them and they replace everything, and then they will come and they will just keep upgrading, and they take a larger percentage of our savings.
Can I just give the details a little bit clearer?
Well, no, because they're coming back here they're going to present to this, you're bringing them to the select board. And so he and you're going to have multiple people. So the only thing is we heard his first pitch, and then he's got to come here to do it too. We're not really this is something the select board's going to be deciding. There's nothing that the Energy Task Force is deciding on. What else did we do that day? We're also talking about presenting a possible bylaw in regards to hazardous material leakage, because it's all based on what Eversource was talking about. So that will be presented as a possible bylaw again to the select board. And the other thing that we talked about on the energy, we just have so many projects on there. And again, to bring them to you is, the final audits on the building were going to be finished July 10th. And the town managers arranged for those to be completed, and then the final building audits and recommended programs and possible grants will be all presented. Also, we are now a municipal. We are on the program and got the $18,000 grant for municipal vulnerability plans. And Chief Dearborn has started working towards that. And part of that is community engagement. So we're going to find out when those programs are going to be set up by the chief. And I think that was, let me make sure there's nothing else. Audit streetlights, packaging, let's see. And then we still have to gather all the information to make our report to the select board in the fall and how we're doing on the green communities and energy consumption.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? I don't have any necessarily subcommittee reports. I did want to just clarify a couple of things because it has to do with Marie's comments about bylaws. We're going to have on August 6th, it's on the agenda, discussion on potential bylaws.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I was hoping to do was find out the sense of the board on what it takes to get something on either a bylaw or anything also on the warrant. You know, who gets to put things on the warrant, and how does something get on the warrant, which is a little bit different from just bylaws. But you know, my thinking is that a discussion about something going on the warrant needs to be sponsored by somebody other than a citizen's petition, so that whether it's the Energy Committee or it's the, you know, the Housing Committee or somebody comes forward to us, that that if there's something that shows up on the bylaws, somebody has got an argument for why it, or something shows up on the warrant, somebody's got an argument for why it ought to be there, as opposed to it just kind of pops up because somebody thought of it. And having said that, one of the things that I was interested in considering, because I'm getting emails about it, is the issue that came up the last time we had a hearing here with Columbia Gas. One of the things that came up was this electrical wire they put down William Street to reduce corrosion of the gas line that appeared to be, or claimed to be, causing corrosion in individual homeowners' supply lines. And what we never got was any kind of resolution on that, whether we need to be notified on it, or should there be some kind of a consideration. So I've asked a couple of people who are very interested in that to look at potentially how do we get Columbia Gas to notify the town of areas that may have an issue with these cathodic elimination wirings that try to eliminate corrosion. And so I don't know, Marie, if that's the task force you're on, or it's a...
I don't think so.
it's-
That's engineering, because I know we got an engineering report from them that was a pushback. So I wouldn't know
Well,
how our
yeah, I
committee
mean-
could handle that.
I don't know, but I think that, we owe it to people in town to protect them, to know whether or not their houses are subject to, or their water pipes may be subject to some corrosion, at least if nothing else, a notification. I may talk to Stephen Crane about, in our building department, about how can we get something potentially that requires Columbia Gas to notify us of houses that are, I mean, they're probably gonna tell us there are no houses, and I think the letter we got clearly says that they have no responsibility for the corrosion in these pipes, which is, to some degree, and I know I'm on TV here, the party line, but nevertheless, there's somebody replaced their pipe, and then just a few months later, less than a year or so later, they had spot corrosion in the exact same spot. It's kind of when there's smoke, there's fire. If it walks like a duck, it is a duck. So anyway, that's something I was going to chase down as well. And I don't know if that's a long-term thing or just a short-term project, but I think we owe it to the citizens to try to protect them by at least having them know what's going on. And I don't know if we can require inspections or testing or whatever, but we need to do something. Okay. Anything else, Tom? Rich?
One thing keeps coming back, I mean, we were talking about the goals and all. It seems like the only time that we see a division chief come before us is when they want money. And I keep thinking back many, many years ago, we had more of a open relationship, it seemed, when the division chiefs would come in and brief the board annually on operations, as I recall. And I'd like to see us move back a little bit more in that direction, to find out what's going on. Because, I know I take the time and meet quite often, not quite often, but I do talk with Andy, the town engineer, because I'm interested in what he's doing and where we're moving forward. I'm also interested in the fact that, he was saying he tries to stash money away so he can do tip projects. And I said, well, why don't you bring them to the select board as a design element? You need $200,000 to move this project forward and put it on a warrant article. So it seems like there's a need there that's not being surfacing again. And it certainly is not to circumvent town manager. I just think, as we said before, the reason Paul is here is there's so many things going on within the field of administration. And we need, Stephen needed somebody to take some of the burden off, and there's all these operational issues, and we end up not totally out of the loop, we're just not in the loop deeply, because, I fully support what they've been doing on the tip projects. I mean, Converse Street is because somebody did their design work and got the money. And, we need advocates to keep pushing this stuff, I guess is my main thing.
So if you recall, I think you were on the board, the last time I was chair, what we did is we had committee chairs come to different meetings just kind of go through and update us on what we do. I mean, what they're doing. The only time we seem to talk to them is during our reappointments and things get out of hand. And I thought it was great. The only problem we did is we only got through about a half a dozen or 10 of them because they started the 15 minutes turned into 45 minutes
Yeah.
because there was so much going on. But, you know, most of our departments have a liaison board. The Parks and Rec Department, you know, we could bring Barry Jarvis in here, but the liaison board, we could also bring in the chair of the Parks and, who, that board, you know, is a select board appointed board, and the same with almost all the departments, with the exception of the DPW. And that may be the one that we want to try to handle differently, but I can think of Board of Health, which is Beverly Hirschhorn.
Right.
If you look right down, we have Council on Aging, who could be the Adult Center Department. So, I mean, we can work within our purview with those assigned liaison boards to try to find out more what's going on. But I think I agree with you, Richard.
I don't even think it's so much finding out what's going on, it's that, like, become aware that maybe there's something that somebody's trying to do and they don't quite know how to do it. Because, you know, Andy was saying, he said they're trying to scrape the money together here, and I said, why don't you come before the board? Make a proposal, come before the board. And it's on, I don't think it dawned on Andy that he should do that, personally. You know, he's nestled down, I guess, he's down three levels down, but it's a very important position he has within our community on doing the engineering and future planning. So I don't know how to more fully define it other than that, Mark. It's, you know, we're aware that he has a need. I mean, the division chiefs come in here. The police department comes in, they say, I got a need, and we hear this and we hear this. But DPW, you rarely see them coming before us, and yet they're one of the larger divisions as far as needs in our community, and certainly have more diverse programs under than any of the other departments, I guess, beside administration. I mean, you guys got a ton of different programs that you administer, but am I making any more sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just don't know the right format, and if you will, the topic is, it's not a, gee, Mario, come on in here and just kind of shoot the breeze with us of what you're doing. I think we need to give it some structure, and I'm got to give that some thought, I guess, on how we can give it some structure.
Well, such as the North Interceptor.
Right, I mean, we can pick specific topics like the North Interceptor, clearly, but again, when did that come up? During the budget review.
Right.
You know, and again, when, you know, generally when we get into discussions like, you know, beekeeping or whatever is with the Board of Health, it's during somebody being appointed to the Board of Health, and I think we've got to get it, partly because our reappointments ought to be moving forward more quickly, and if we want to have a discussion about what the Board of Health is doing or any other committee, we ought to have them come in here and talk to us about it. I mean, if they're appointed by the Select Board, they're answerable to the Select Board. And to some degree, we ought to help set their direction if that's what we want to do.
Paul, internally, within the organization, is there encouragement disseminated to the division chiefs and like the engineering departments to consider warrant articles for special needs?
There are, but usually they filter up through the division chief.
Okay.
So if the ideas are there, you know, you get it, it's going to be for the division chief to carry them forward more than somebody that is, you know, a level below, let's say.
Is it internally, do you know, is it being encouraged still, or are the staff being educated into that process? I mean, not all the staff, certainly not somebody who's running a weed eater. I'm talking about like the engineering department and.
I would say that the time that they're encouraged are really right now. When you send out the fact that warrant articles, as an example, it's like an open invitation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that there's, you know, an openness throughout the year, but during the budget time and during when the warrant articles are open, those are the prime opportunities, and those are kind of the times that people would expect those things to move up the ladder.
Okay.
All right, I mean, I'll talk to you offline.
Yeah.
It's just to try to get a better sense of how we pull this off.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I think we need to do that.
Just a little tweaking.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other items? Again, there's, you know, I'm trying to put together a 3-4 week, Paul?
I just have one thing, going back to the liaisons. Part of the responsibility of the liaison to the Scantic Valley was also being an associate member, which would have voting rights. And that the Scantic Valley Board then requires a letter that, you know, just authorizing that person in the absence of the permanent member or the original member, which is Arlene, that the associate member would then have the voting rights in their absence. So I don't know if that motion could be made that Tom be the associate member to the Scantic Valley Board, the associate representative, I guess, to the Scantic Valley Board, and then that letter can be written. And then, again, at meetings, if Arlene were not there, he would be able to vote.
Thank you for the reminder. I'm willing to accept that motion to write a letter appointing Tom as the associate member.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Tom, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm ready to vote.
Arlene's usually there.
Okay.
All those in favor? It passes 4-0. Thank you. So
Thanks, Paul.
if you can write that
wait,
letter,
no.
Debbie, that'd be great that a vote was taken and Tom was appointed our associate member. Thanks, Paul, for
Yeah.
the reminder.
Just in case Arlene's not there, you know.
That's fine.
No, it's true.
Okay, that's great. Is there anything else that we need to do this evening?
Adjourn?
We certainly can.
I'll second that.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. Okay, our next meeting, before we do that, I just want to announce our next meeting is Monday, July 16th, and our, currently on the agenda is working again with the town manager evaluation and setting some goals, a review with our bond issuing representative, Clark Rowell, will be here presenting proposals on how to bond the DPW and, to some degree, the adult center. And believe me, there are probably as many proposals as there are opportunities to do that. And we're also going to be talking about, right now, plan to talk about our stormwater abatement policy as our stormwater utility and charges start going through the system. So that's going to be the agenda for currently, that's so far what's going to be on the July 16th agenda. Okay?
Well, before you adjourn.
Sure.
Paul, was there any update on DPW? Is there anything going on that we should be made aware of?
The only thing that I'm aware of is they've knocked down quite a few trees in the area when I drove by the other day, so they are starting, some of the clearing and the process, but other than that, I don't have any more information for you.
Okay.
I heard there was Department of Environmental
DEP.
DEP come involved. on
Right,
some-
they came involved when there were certain asbestos particles found still on the premises.
Yeah.
But that was a few weeks back, and I think that was mentioned to the board in
Yes.
part from the last week.
Steven
Okay,
mentioned
so
that.
nothing else has happened with that?
Not that I'm aware of. And
Okay.
again, Stephen may know more, I personally don't.
So, yeah,
Right.
we're going to try to start getting out the weekly minutes from the, I sent out last week's because there was no meeting this week, but we'll also try to send more out by, just information out by email to folks.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
So there's a motion made and seconded for adjournment.
Okay.
All those in favor? The motion passes, folks. Thanks very much. We will see you on Monday, July 16th, 7 o'clock, same station. Thank you.